What's up, Pandas? Peter Von Panda here. Hey, I want to show you my most recent purchase, and now this one's going to be a little left field based on my other purchases. This is my first and probably my only gun. As you can see, it's by H&K, Heckler & Koch, a German company, and I wanted to show it, not because so much I want to show off things, I do, but I wanted to make the case for this particular gun as a novice gun user, and as someone who probably was never really intending on owning a gun. So you may say, you know, oh, all these gun nuts, they have 100 guns. Well, I don't plan on collecting guns. I never really planned on putting much effort into owning one, but it's kind of like golfing. If you don't own a set of golf clubs, you're always renting it. And I have a lot of friends, we go to the gun range, a lot of them have guns, so either I'm using their gun or renting guns. You never really have consistency, and you can never, you're never really prepared. So I just wanted to have a gun so that when we go to the range, I have something that I use, I know what condition it's in, I know how to shoot it, etc., etc. And this is a gun that I didn't know I wanted. It's a gun I wanted, but it didn't exist at the time I wanted it. And so I want to make a case for it here. First of all, this is a Heckler & Koch VP9 Volks pistol, 9mm, stands for, or means people's pistol, kind of like Volkswagen means people's car. It is a German gun. If you're familiar with HK, you know they make fantastic guns. And it comes in this cool case with this laser cut foam. It totally makes you feel kind of like a James Bond assassin. It has magazine, side and back straps here, and then the gun itself. I'm not going to go into all the specs because you can find those in a lot of videos. I want this to be more about why I got it, because I think people will misinterpret it. But first of all, so I strictly got it for, you know, the sporting nature of it. You know, most of my friends have Glocks. You know, Glocks are a nice gun. The one I use the most is a Glock 17. Fantastic weapon. Very easy to break down. One of the things I thought about, though, and when we went shooting last time, is a buddy had bought an HK. I don't remember exactly which one it is, but I was switched off between the Glock 17 and the HK a couple times to shoot, and there was no question the HK was a nicer firing gun, and it was more accurate and easier to consistently use. And one of the reasons is it's because the HK has a hammer as opposed to the striker firing pin. And so what ends up happening is that you really have a single action trigger pull. It kind of makes it easier to control, less effort moving the trigger on subsequent trigger pulls. And so you can stay more stable, and it's just a cleaner break, and you get all the benefits of that. And so one of the things I was like is, man, that HK shoots nice, but, you know, the Glock 17 isn't, you know, it's a striker fire, and so it's simpler to tear down, and I already know how to use it, and it's so simple, and there's not an external safety, and you know, it's only 3 major pieces, they're easy to clean, etc., etc. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll just get a Glock 17, and, you know, they're not super expensive, but man, that HK was nice just from the accuracy. It looked great, it shot great. But the problem is, as my friend said on that HK, he spent a king's ransom. He was over $1,000 for that gun, and I was like, what? That's crazy. So Glock came out with this gun last year, VP9. It looks a lot like their P30. It's available only in a 9mm, and you know, it's a polymer frame. And the reason I love this is that it tears down essentially the same way. I've never fired this gun. I just picked it up. It's still oily, so forgive me for that. I'm not trying to dig on Glock or HK. If you're gonna flame me for how lame I am. But you know, it actually tears down a little easier. In fact, in my opinion, this gun is unloaded and safe. You know, you lock back the slide just like you would on a Glock. But then this teardown lever here, so you can see you just take the lever down here, just flips down. It's actually easier than the little pins that you have on the side of the Glock, in my opinion. And then you can just release the slide, and again, just like a Glock 17, it slides all the way off. And then really just 2 separate pieces here. You have the spring and then your muzzle in there, which here, you can flame me for this one. It's polygonal muzzle, but I don't understand why it wouldn't be produced polygonal rifling. So, put that one in your pipe and smoke it. Everyone says polygonal, but I think that polygonal rolls off the tongue easier and is arguably an acceptable way of pronouncing that. I'm not going to take it all apart here because you've seen that. This one is oiled up as it is from the factory, and great pieces. But you'll recognize almost all of this is very similar to the Glock, and in many ways it's a little beefier, maybe a little stronger. But so for me, I wanted all the familiarity of a Glock 17, but I really kind of wanted that the high quality, the reliability, and kind of the prestige of owning an H&K, a gun that another buddy of mine I know uses in competition, in shooting competitions, and so I know he's had a lot of success with HK. So, so they had all of that. So so HK brings this gun to the market. It has all of those advantages. The familiarity of being similar to a Glock 17, but then they throw in some other things, these little dog ears that help you get a grip. These serrations here, which are actually deeper, in my opinion, than, and I think probably measurably, than the Glock 17. Luminova sights here, which glow in the dark. They don't produce their own light through radioactivity, but they're just like if you watch my watch videos, the super luminova on a watch that will glow after being exposed to the light. So this is actually easier to charge than a Glock, in my opinion. A real Picatinny rail up here, a wider grip for gloved hands if you need it. You can see the trigger on the safety, the paddle magazine ejector there, which I actually like. And then, of course, as I mentioned, a backstrap and side strap replacement here to get a really nice grip. If you're familiar with Glock 17, in my opinion, a Glock looks like a gun that a kid would draw. It's just kind of like a top straight line, and then a handle is a straight line, and that's what it kind of feels like, in my opinion. But this is just super contoured, and people have kind of raved or ranted about the texture, which I think is absolutely fine. I mean, whoever really knows. So you get all this other stuff on top of what you get in the Glock, including, the striker indicator there, which will go away if I were to pull the trigger, and release it. And so then you're thinking, then I'm thinking like, oh dude, all right, so they built a gun that's going to be as familiar as a Glock 17. So yeah, of course I want it. They throw in all this extra stuff. And so of course it's going to be like a $1,200 gun, but it's not. It ends up being about $100 more than a current generation Glock 17 new. So what? $100 more for all this other stuff. So I get the best of both worlds. I get the familiarity of a gun that I already like. I get the reputation and the craftsmanship of a gun brand that I've aspired to have. It is a total win-win, man. Total polymer gun with the Heckler & Koch reputation. Shoots very ubiquitous 9mm ammo with all these other features. This is a gun that I think you can own and really enjoy, and should be kind of a lifelong piece. It's not a gun that I get and kind of be like, well, I don't, it's just something I got so that I have something at the range. This is a gun that I'm actually pretty proud of. And the last thing to me is this looks absolutely badass. So it's got that very standard Heckler & Koch kind of design language, the blocky, kind of the massive straight line shape, which is cool. And then the other thing, which is a little underrated, is this deep cut, this deep inset on the grip here. And the reason I say that's a little underrated is, particularly it's a little shallower on the Glocks, and I've had trouble where I've held it and I've caught a little bit of the slide on the recoil sometimes. So, not huge problems, but to have that extra that deeper grip there, that deeper cut, which kind of moves the grip forward and kind of puts more of the slide behind your hand, helps, muzzle raise, I believe, and also kind of reduces the inertia, the furthest points, for inertial torsion, so that kind of reduces the polar moment of inertia when you fire it. So I think, that's, when they talk about the low bore axis, I don't think you get as much kick, for kind of the simple modifications like that, but they're also really very practical. So again, this isn't to say, go out and get a gun. But if you were going to own one, I think this is the best of almost all the worlds at a price point that just can't be beat. As I've looked at a lot of guns, including the USPs and the P30s, even used, are still very expensive guns. And then you're saying, well, why can't you learn that platform? Well, hammer fire and decockers and, external safeties, and then the oiling and the cleaning is different, and there are more pieces when you tear it down. I'm telling you, I'm not an avid gun enthusiast. I don't want to learn about all those things. The simpler, the better for me. And so this is like Glock simplicity, HK exoticness, all wrapped in a price point that you can't beat, in my opinion. So HK VP9, I'm super happy with this purchase. The trigger brake seems nice. I kind of dry fired it a number of times to get a feel for it. I'm looking forward to taking it to the range and showing it off to my buddies. But, that's a novice gun user's opinion on this. So check out a lot of the other videos on the VP9. A lot of guys rave about it. Some like the Walther PPQ, which I'm sure is another nice gun. I've actually never shot that one. Most of the time, like I said, I've shot Glocks and SIGs and some of that. But yeah, I was super stoked about this one. So Peter Von Panda with my first and probably only firearm, the HK VP 99mm. Peter Von Panda out.